Hey guys, so I just got out of seeing Uncharted, starring Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, Antonio Banderas, and let's just say this. I am a pretty big fan for the video games. I'm not going to say I know every single detail about the story and their origin. I don't even remember all of the story in 1, 2, 3, and 4, and even the spin-off game that came out. I love A Thief's End. I will say this. This movie, I didn't really have a bunch of expectation on this because it seemed from the trailers like a very paint-by-the-numbers movie. A very paint-by-the-numbers adventure film, to be exact. And when I heard how long this movie has been in development for, that's when I knew there was a problem. And yes, Tom Holland's in it, and Mark Wahlberg's in it, Antonio Banderas is in it. You have my interest. And that girl from the Sabrina show, I forget her name, Tati Gabrielle, I believe, she was really, really good at this. But anyways, there was a lot behind this project, whether it being good stuff, like publicity for casting, or bad stuff, how long this movie has been in development. Hell, forever. So, with that being said, at the end of the day, was this an enjoyable film? Was it something that's worth going to the theaters? Yes and no. Let's just get into the negatives first. This movie is very bland. The first hour felt more like a fan fiction film than a Hollywood-produced story, and that's an issue for me because this is a $120 million budget film, and the first hour felt so subpar, so bland. And that's the other thing. These characters, Nathan Drake, Tom Holland, still doesn't look anything like Nathan Drake to me. And Sully, Mark Wahlberg is just doing Mark Wahlberg. He's not Sully yet. I'll get to that later. But for right now, their portrayal of these characters isn't as promising as I wanted it to be. And for that, it kind of stinks because I love these two and they do a really good job with what they're given, but they're not Nathan Drake and they're not Sully. And that's just my personal opinion. But anyways, moving on to the next negative, Antonio Banderas, they completely underutilized him. I was very disappointed with what happened to his character in this film. Yeah, I'm really annoyed. Besides that, another thing, the pacing. It is very bogged down, especially in the first hour. It's just really a mess when it comes to the execution with certain arcs with characters. And I like the idea of people who can't be trusted, but it becomes really annoying when it's so much of that, when so much of that story arc is happening. And I love when good twists happen, but it was almost too predictable, and for that, that kind of bogged the movie down for me. I know that's kind of weird, but it did. And it just was overall a boring film for being an adventure action movie, right? Like, you're expecting like all this swashbuckling action and stuff, which you do get in the third act. But overall, it was kind of a disjointed mess. And that does take down the score for especially the first half being so kind of bland for an Uncharted story. Like, this is Uncharted. Anyways, the positives. I think Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, it's weird, they're a negative, but they're also positive because I still had fun with them at the end of the day, especially in the third act. That's the next positive. The third act, the last 30 minutes actually felt like Uncharted, and it took an hour and 20 minutes to get to that point, which is annoying, but we finally got to it, and we got the 2 sweet post-credit scenes that I actually want a sequel. Like, I feel like there is potential in this franchise, but right now, it's not a great start. It's really not, but I really dug the whole sequence with the plane when Tom Holland gets crushed by that car and he's flying down. Some really dumb logic that goes on that sequence. I was wondering how he would get out of it, and it was really stupid. But anyways, I digress because you kind of have to turn off your brain when it comes to this movie. Then the third act happens with the ships. I loved it. I know it's stupid, but I loved it. It was the way they filmed it, the editing, the cinematography, really top-notch. Some of the CGI a little wonky, but I still had a good time with it. And, you know, at the end of the day, if that's what people are looking for, general movie-going audiences who have no idea what the game is, never even heard of the game, they just want to go see a Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland film, they will probably enjoy it. But for somebody who's played the games and actually wants a good story and not just a Netflix streaming time, because that's essentially what this movie is. It's a streaming film. I think we, the audience, deserve better, especially fans of the Uncharted franchise. And that's where my issue is. I would rather play this game than watch this movie because I'm having way more fun interacting as the characters than watching Tom Holland with a green screen background. So overall, guys, I think it's a mixed bag, but at the end of the day, I did have somewhat of an enjoyable time, and I think you will too. If you are not really that much of a fan of the video games, you never played it, you'll probably like it. Fans of the video games, brace yourselves for certain things that happen in the film, but I still had an okay time. And for that, I'm going to give Uncharted a 6.5 out of 10. Well, thank you guys so much for watching my review. It really means a lot. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and also don't forget to be blessed.